President Trump gave a pardon to a conservative commentator Thursday, and he said he's considering giving clemency to two people with connections to his former show, The Apprentice. Paula Reid has more.
President Trump granted his fifth pardon this morning, tweeting, "We will be giving a full pardon to Dinesh D'Souza today. He was treated very unfairly by our government." The high-profile conservative filmmaker and author pleaded guilty in 2014 to arranging illegal campaign contributions. D'Souza has said his prosecution was politically motivated.
I've gone through going to jail.
Mr. Trump also said he is thinking about pardoning Martha Stewart, who is convicted of lying to investigators about a stock trade, and commuting former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich's 14-year sentence for attempting to sell an appointment to the Senate seat vacated by President Obama.
You're fired.
Both Stewart and Blagojevich have connections to Mr. Trump's Apprentice television franchise. At the same point in his presidency, Mr. Obama had not pardoned anyone, but eventually issued 212 pardons and 1,715 commutations, most for low-level drug offenders. President Trump issued his first pardon last summer to controversial Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He was charged for ignoring a court order to stop profiling Latinos.
Do the people in this room like Sheriff Joe?
Historically, the Justice Department has reviewed pardon petitions and made recommendations to the White House. But President Trump has short-circuited that process, even fielding recommendations from celebrities.
Because we righted a wrong.
Last week, he issued a posthumous pardon of boxing legend Jack Johnson at the behest of Sylvester Stallone.
Jack Johnson was not treated fairly.
And yesterday, he met with Kim Kardashian West, who is advocating for a pardon of a low-level drug offender.
CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid joins me now from the White House. Paula, why did the president decide to pardon D'Souza?
Well, D'Souza has repeatedly contended that his prosecution, his plea deal, that all of it was politically motivated. He said he was pressured into pleading guilty in this case, and that it was really the political motivations of the then U.S. Attorney Preet Bharara. So the president sort of has this pattern of granting clemency or pardons to people that he believes are sort of victims of the same system that he also feels he is a victim of, sort of the inside baseball, inside beltway swamp mentality.
Well, what message does it send that the president pardoned D'Souza rather than commuted his sentence?
Well, it's unclear why he decided to pardon him instead of commuting his sentence, but all of his decisions about pardons, Elaine, they are sending a message to some of his associates who are currently trying to decide whether or not to flip and share information with special counsel against the president, his inner circle, and his family, or whether to hold out for a presidential pardon. For example, the president's former campaign chairman, Paul Manafort, Elaine, he faces over 15 years in prison for charges filed by special counsel. But sources tell me he is not cooperating in that probe because he is banking on a presidential pardon to spare him any jail time. Of course, there's also the case of the president's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. He is expected to likely face federal charges, but he's not expected to flip, so he too could be rewarded with a pardon. But Elaine, the problem is that these pardons, they only protect you from federal cases, federal charges, federal jail time, and not anything that you face at the state level.
You mentioned Kim Kardashian West was at the White House Wednesday discussing clemency for a woman whose case she's drawing attention to. Do we know if the president will pardon that woman, Alice Marie Johnson?
At this point, we don't know, but her case is a lot more similar to the hundreds and thousands of pardons and commutations that President Obama granted during his 8 years in office. The majority of the sort of clemency that he issued, that was mostly for low-level drug offenders, though he did have some high-profile pardons that he issued too. We have to remember the president is only about a year and a half into his first term, so he still has a lot of time to grant more commutations and pardons.
All right, Paula Reid at the White House for us. Paula, thank you.